Welcome back to another virtual tasting with Binny's. I'm Pat from the Whiskey Hotline, along with Brett. Our special guest today is Michael Forsyth from Detroit City Distillery. We're here to talk about making donuts into vodka, which is utterly ridiculous, but somehow it actually works out because this is, you may or may not have heard Brett and I talk some particular crap about vodka before in our days, but when vodka works well, it really does work. So this is pretty cool. So Michael, thank you for joining us, man. You want to give us a little background on Detroit City? We've been selling you guys for about a year now. I think that's about it, right? Maybe a year and a half.
We're new to Chicago, so we're in Detroit, obviously, Detroit City Distillery. So we launched in 2019, and you guys have been great to us. Usually we're known for making whiskey. So, we got our Butcher's Cup bourbon, won Best Young Bourbon in America, American Distilling Institute a few years ago. Our homegrown rye won double gold last year in San Francisco World Spirits Competition. But this time of year, it all shuts down, and we make nothing besides this Paczki Day Vodka, which is this crazy, cult classic thing in Detroit, and now, of course, Chicago, because we got a lot of Poles down in Chicago. And so we literally make Paczki vodka nonstop, beginning as soon as we come back from the New Year. So that's literally all we've done. So it's been wild.
That sounds like it's an absolute mess to make. I mean, walk us through the process of making a donut vodka. Is it fair to call it a donut? I suppose a donut has to have a hole, right? But it's just a kind of donut, right?
That is a fair statement. So
looks like a donut.
Yeah. So we sent you guys down some New Palace raspberry Paczki vodka. So we partner with this bakery in Hamtramck, which is a city within the city of Detroit that is settled by mostly folks from Poland. And this bakery, New Palace Bakery, has been around for 100+ years. They're this legendary bakery, and they make by far our favorite Paczki. And so we have this distiller, Steve Orzechowski, and we hired him as a bar back. So, we have a fancy cocktail bar and all these things as most distillers do. Mm-hmm. And Steve, the distillers, the owners went out of town, and Steve asked for some vodka. And Steve, unbeknownst to us, he decided hey, people are making flavored vodka all over the world. Why can I not distill Paczki? Could this work? And so this was maybe he had been partaking in, alcohol.
Can't be that different from making gin, right? I mean,
I can't believe, with that being said, I can't believe that this is the first one, given the generations of Polish people who like both, that this is the first time in Detroit in 2019 is the first time somebody thought of this?
Well, yeah, so this was actually 4 years ago.
Okay.
So Steve every year goes to Hamtramck, which is a city within the city of Detroit, mostly Polish people. And the Paczki, so we call it Paczki Day. It's not Fat Tuesday, it's Paczki Day in Detroit. And so it's this really amazing festival, amongst Polish people celebrating their culture. And it's all these amazing dive bars, and people are eating Paczki and taking vodka shots. And so Steve wanted to capture the essence of Paczki Day in a bottle. So he was like, let me see if I can distill my favorite Paczki into a vodka. So he asked for this vodka while we were out of town. And so he distilled 12 dozen Paczki. This was 4 years ago. And we came back and we're like, hey, this is actually pretty tasty. It's actually tastes like a Paczki. And then people went crazy over it. He would take it to the party, and people would be like, this is amazing. And so then we kept distilling it and kept distilling more. And people were like, this is amazing. So last year we made a boatload, as much as we possibly could. And then this year we literally dedicated like the first 6 weeks of the year to only making Paczki vodka, and it was not anywhere near enough.
Yeah, you still sold out in 20 minutes or something? That's
20
insane.
minutes online, and like people go crazy over it, like berserker over it. So it's Paczki plus vodka, and it's literally, we distilled 1,500 Paczki from New Palace Bakery, raspberry glaze, gotta go glaze, no powdered sugar, only glaze.
Okay.
In this vodka, we source the vodka from Poland, which I think is super fun.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we make this Paczki Day vodka, and it's only once a year, and it's just part of the festivities here. It's been really.
I mean,
fun.
if you were making your own vodka and then doing this, it would cost way too much money, probably, right? I mean, I think not only is it a cool homage to the Polish heritage thing, I think it helps you keep the cost reasonable for your annual donut vodka.
Yeah, I mean, so we make vodka. We make vodka normally, and it's 100% corn. The grain is from Michigan. 7 times distilled. It's basically like a Tito's, but it's higher proof and higher times distilled. So it's like a cocktail vodka. You know, it's stronger, and it's meant to be more enjoyed with libations. But the Paczki vodka is just fun because it's like people connect to it in Michigan, especially if they're Polish, you know. And so there's so many Polish people here in Michigan as there are in Chicago. And so, you know, using Polish potato vodka is more fun. It's also a better canvas, I find. You know, Polish vodka is like the cleanest, smoothest, like vodka. So when you overlay a Paczki on that, like it shows up a little bit more. So it's easier to drink and a little smoother, I think, when we use the Polish potato vodka. So it's a fun story, bringing it all together.
It's awesome. It's a couple of things of note with this. I can't believe it's 88 proof vodka, first of all, because it drinks just smooth and sweet, and it's got a little bit of the fatness, I think, from the donut in there. Like it's got a round feel to it. But it's not a super sugary, sweet raspberry. It really is remarkable that this vodka somehow tastes like the Paczki that was soaked in it. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, but it's one of those things where it just sounds so ridiculous. You assume it couldn't work. I would like to request, I'm in a different room than Brett right now, but behind Brett on the shelves between our desks, Brett, is the bottle from last year. Did you use a different Paczki last year or the same Paczki? And do you feel it changes year to year?
Yeah, so this year. So, I mean, it's always New Palace Bakery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that is the legendary bakery. Like, that is the inspiration behind the Paczki vodka. So it's always New Palace Bakery. And, you know, it's a small bakery. So, you know, this is a lot of work for them. And so it's always the same thing, but we played up the bottle this year. We got the Polish flag.
Mm-hmm.
We put a little sticker on the back, so there's like a Paczki floating in the bottle, which is like very quite literally what is in this bottle. So it's really fun, you know. So I mean, so every batch you take 18 dozen Paczki, and I think we've done 8 batches this year. So it ended up to be about 1,500 total Paczki, which is a hell of a lot of calories and a hell of a lot of Paczki.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about the calories on it. Brett, it's in like a middle shelf kind of by my desk. It's got a brown paper label.
Yeah.
All right, I will find it.
I'm just curious to taste them side by side and see if we see any difference now that we've had one for a year. Now it's been open, but with, you know, all we did was taste 2 ounces of it or something.
Yeah.
All right. Is the other vodka you make higher proof like this too? You mentioned it was a cocktail vodka and higher proof.
Yeah, so I mean, all the spirits we make are higher proof. So, you know, all the clear spirits are 88 proof. We make a lot of gin,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of vodka. We actually make one special for Chicago.
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, we made this with a bunch of our bartender friends in Chicago. Anthony McNulty over at Revel Room, Luke and Max over at Scofflaw, great gin bar, obviously, John Kahn at Time Out Market. So like we love like the collaborative process. And we love like most of our spirits are made for cocktails. Like they're higher proof. We want to taste the alcohol in the cocktail.
Mhm.
And so that's the point of the punchki being 88% or 88 proof rather. We want that to shine through your cocktails.
That was I mentioned this in the pre-show fist fight, I guess. These things I always like trying, but this is the epitome of a bottle of like, oh, this is really cool. I'm glad I got to try this. What do I do with the rest of this bottle now? And you guys actually have some cocktails here that I think are pretty cool and kind of surprising. You have one called a Polish Daisy that's 1.5 ounces of this, some vanilla simple syrup, and Cokie Americano of all things, along with lemon juice. I love Cokie Americano, but it's not the first thing I would have assumed with a sweetened, like a semi-sweet dessert vodka. How do you guys come up with that one? That's crazy.
Well, so the interesting thing about us is, as a lot of distilleries, like craft distilleries out there, they have tasting rooms and essentially run craft cocktail bars. And so, a lot of people are asking us, what do I do with this punchki vodka? So we come up with these fancy craft cocktails. The Polish Daisy is certainly one of them. We do 1.5 ounce of the punchki vodka, 1/2 ounce of the Cokie Americano, right? Italian fortified blind, which plays really well with like the sweetness of the punchki, right? You're getting like a little like funky, fresh wine flavor, and then lemon, and then vanilla simple syrup, which is just vanilla paste added into simple syrup, which is kind of plays on the dessert aspect of this. So that's a really fun one. And then, like this is great in a White Russian, right? So you can just sub this out, vodka and a White Russian. We kind of like Bailey's too, instead of a Kahlua. We have a big Polish-Irish connection in Detroit, so that's really fun. So we have the Campo Comrade, which is fun. And then, like a lot of people want to just taste the vodka. So like Martini comes to mind, right? So like we actually really like the Lillet, like your James Bond Martini. Like there's no shaking business. I mean, like let's be real about
Of course not. Yeah.
Martini, right? This is stirred, not shaken. So we like the Lillet in this, which plays really well with the fruity flavors in this. So that's a really good thing, like 5-to-1 if you want your traditional martini mix to play up and really taste this. And it's just, it's really fun. I mean, probably the most common is just, shooting this over ice and then chasing it with a punchki. That's probably the most obvious about this, but it's a fun thing to do for Paczki Day for sure. I mean, you can play around with it a lot, and we make margaritas with this. Like we sub out tequila with Paczki Day vodka.
Well, look,
and then we just throw a bunch of raspberries in the mix, and then it's like all good to go.
Well, we just did a series and I don't know if you met him. We just concluded a series on botanicals with Jake Parrott from House of Pens.
Oh, good.
And one of the things, I mean, everything you're talking about is exactly what we talked about, especially the last 2 episodes, were tongue mapping and how you take a really good product like this vodka that has a very distinct characteristic, and what can you do? It's the classic way you think about pairing food, right? You either complement or you contrast.
Yes.
And what things are going to bring out the fruit. That's why I think the Cokie is genius, actually. Of all those, that's my favorite, just because that little bit of bitterness really brings out that fat round. And the flavor is there. You can really pull the berry out with something like that with a bittering agent.
Yeah, and so we use raspberry punchki, like very intentionally. That's our favorite punchki to use. So like that's the center point. So using raspberry syrup, I mean, so you can do this a lot, like adding a raspberry syrup would be good to this. But that's like kind of what we like to focus around. But, it's a different type of, it's a different time now, I mean, like, usually we would all be in Hamtramck right now, like at a bunch of dive bars, like taking a lot of vodka shots. So it's weird to, it's a little different this year with the pandemic, but we like it straight. Like that's kind of how it was meant to be enjoyed. And then like having fun with it is, really kind of the bonus of this year. And that's kind of up to everybody to do that at home, this year, which it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think
your
your
straight?
Yeah? What do you think your terminal production is? So this year you had 1,500, and how many? What do you think your terminal production is? What is the maximum amount of this you can make in one cycle?
So, okay. All right. So, Brett, that is like the best question possible. So, literally, like, people call us from Poland for this.
That's awesome. Of course. Yeah.
We actually, and I hate to say it, like, we couldn't really figure it out. We had a radio station in Chicago that's in Polish only ask us to do an interview, but none of us spoke Polish. So like the goal is to figure out, like, this is just something that's, I think, really connected to the core of people of Polish descent. And I love that we are able to participate in that. Like, it's such an honor to be a part of that culture. And Steve-O, who is, of Polish descent, our distiller, Steve Orchowski, it's like such an honor. So, for us, it's like a huge obligation to try to fulfill this as much as possible. So I think the answer to that is we have to figure out how to make it year round, because we literally made it every day, 6 days a week, starting January 4th when we came back from the new year, and it sold out in 22 minutes online for us. And then, we sent some down to Chicago, we sent some throughout Michigan in distribution. I mean, it all sold out literally within days. So we need to figure out how to make more of it. So it's probably going to be a thing we have to make all year round in order to just satisfy the demand. Because I hate not being able to give people what they want. People want.
There's nothing wrong with having a special occasion once a year treat though, too. I think it loses some of its cachet if you can get it on a non-Paczki day.
And we would be happy, by the way, if you need to do an interview with the Polish-speaking Polish language Chicago radio station, because of location of a number of our stores, we could provide you dozens of 100% bilingual
of native
fluent
Polish speakers,
translators, yes, including Gabe, which is why Gabe was here originally to fact check, just to make sure that if anything Polish was said, that it would be accurate.
Nice. But it's such a fun, it's such an honor to be part of a culture, I mean, it really is, honestly, so we're Detroit City Distillery, right? Obviously, we're really ingrained in the city of Detroit. We make things from scratch. Like, this is not a flavored vodka. Like, we're literally distilling 1,500 paczki from our favorite bakery, like a few miles up the street, because that's like how Detroit does things. Like, you make things from scratch. And so I think there's something really special to that. And I love that, like, people have embraced it as part of their tradition for Paczki Day. And so it's really special for us to be a part of it. I mean, we're literally so like humbled and thankful to be a part of it. So that literally is a really big thing for us.
And it's really awesome. Well, why don't you tell us? I mean, I don't know what else we have left to say on the Paczki vodka besides how awesome it is, and it's incredibly limited. So if you haven't picked one up, head in your local Binny's, because we're going to be sold out probably by the end of the week, I would think.
Well, you know what? how are things? And I know you kind of touched on it. How are things in Detroit? Because you just sort of said something that probably maybe people that aren't familiar don't understand just how profound the revival of Detroit's downtown area has been, and how profound the revival at least was with the momentum that was there before the pandemic hit. And so, and I think you guys are a part of that, right? I mean, you've tried to be a part of that revival.
Yeah, no, we absolutely are. So, I mean, our tagline is Taste the History, Toast to Revival. And so for us, it's really important to honor the history of what was already here. So like what you're seeing now is the old, you guys might appreciate this. I know you guys are booze nerds. So we're in the old Stroh's factory. So if you guys know Stroh's beer, like classic dad beer out of Detroit, I will drink Stroh's till the day I die. I love it. So where Stroh's used to package their beer, and then before that it was Goebbels or Jobel's, which I'm sure many folks listening here might know. So it was a brewery before this, and so there's this great legacy of making things in Detroit, and I think, you know, a lot of this sort of stuff is lost when you come up with these kitschy products. You know, people are trying to shortcut the process, but like, you know, we're literally buying like, you know, thousands of paczkis from this tiny little mom and pop bakery in Hamtramck that's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, we're making this from scratch, and you know, we're making our bourbon from scratch. Like it's not sourced from MGP. Like, you know, we're making this stuff from scratch. Like we have a farmer growing all our rye that makes our rye whiskey. Like all our grain comes from Dexter Mill outside of Ann Arbor. So like, you know, we're making things from scratch. That's kind of the Detroit way. You know, there's limits to that. You know, when people want tens of thousands of bottles of paczki vodka, that becomes a challenge that you have to figure out. You know, maybe it becomes a year-round thing, but you know, we like to make things in Detroit. That's just kind of what we do. That's like the kind of passion behind Detroit City Distillery. That's just kind of who we are. And so that's kind of what we do. And, you know, it's not always the most profitable thing, but it's the thing we love most. And so that's what we do. And so, yeah, so Detroit is really on the comeback. I mean, it's been hard with the pandemic as is Chicago and everything, but, you know, us Midwesterners are tough. Like we know how to come back strong. So I'm excited to see what comes in Detroit. I'm excited to come back down to Chicago. I miss it dearly. I miss my friends. I miss going out for drinks. I miss going hanging out at Binny's and buying like all the good stuff I can't get in Michigan and Binny's, which is a lot of really good stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for it to come back. I think it'll be really strong on the outside of this. Like that's just who we are, and that's who Chicago is. That's who Detroit is. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. What I mean, speaking of that kind of connection, you mentioned earlier Blue Line Gin as a project with some local bartenders. I mean, is there anything else you want to say on that, or how does it differ from your other gin?
Yeah, so this is Blue Line Gin. I'll show it off here. So we have a gin called Railroad Gin, which is our flagship gin. And so we just had this amazing partnership. So Heritage and John Douglas, who's been an amazing partner over at Heritage, who used to work at Billy Sunday and Donkey Table Stick, which is like literally been one of my favorite beverage and drink and food experiences in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He works in Chicago, and you know, we made all these friends when we first launched. So Anthony at Revel Room, and Pat Ray at Violet Hour, and Luke and Max at Scofflaw, and Max was, you know, at his place before that, and Matt Green over at Old Irving Brewery. Like, So we made all these friends, and like what we love doing is making booze with friends, and gin especially is great to do with bartenders. So we just invited them all up to Detroit, and we made a gin together. And my friends, Allison and Gwen, own this really amazing farm right next to us. There's a lot of urban farms in Detroit. And so, you know, we went and like harvested some botanicals for this gin. So the focal point of Blue Line is sage flower, which is like kind of hard to get because sage, as you know, like we all love sage, we know that, but it flowers. So the botanical, the flower itself is like the balance between super savory and very floral. So this is really botanical, like floral, but savory forward. We use Shishandra berry, which is like a really beautiful 5-spice thing. We use elderberry, elderflower. So it's a really beautiful gin that was kind of meant to be a sipper, but also meant to mix a great Negroni. So like the Negroni at Time Out Market featured Blue Line Gin because John Kahn came on the trip and we made it for a Negroni. So like we love just doing this, like making things with people that we love, and it's part of the process of manufacturing that I think is important for craft spirits moving forward. As you guys know, you know, you got to connect to people in a way that makes sense, that is deeper than just like a label on a bottle, right? So that's been really special to us. So Blue Line's been a lot of fun, and we're excited that the places in Chicago are opening back up. I'm excited to come back down to Chicago and be safe and get back into it. So
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Man, okay, so in the interest of full disclosure, I just put a little bit of Coca Americano into this vodka, and this is a killer combo. I mean, a tiny little bit. I tried to stick to like a 1 or a 3-to-1 type of ratio. This is really good. Don't sleep on cocktails on this. If people are looking for more information on this and maybe these cocktails, are they on your website?
Absolutely. So DetroitCityDistillery.com, you can find everything there. Where to find it, what to do with it, the origin story, if you will. So yeah, see us and we'll point you in the right direction.
Cool. Well, Michael, thanks a lot for joining us here for this fun tasting. Paczki Day Vodka, everybody, at your local Binny's now. Mix it with some Coach Americano. Check out the Blue Line Gin too. It's a cool project, Chicago Connection. Michael, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Brett, you got any final questions? Did you enjoy your Paczki?
No, I'm good. I did. No, Nostrovia.
Nostrovia.
There you go. All right, cheers, everybody. Brett and I will be back on Monday.
Thanks, Pat. Cheers.
Cheers. And starting this coming Monday, Brett and I will be running a series on the history of American brandy. You'll catch us at 5 p.m. this coming Monday. Michael Veach will be on, noted bourbon and spirits historian, and we're going to go from there, but expect that to run probably 4 weeks or so. And then we'll be back
and working with Dan Farber from Osacalis.
Yeah, our friend Dan, who's a producer, you've probably seen before.
And Monique Houston from Winebow.
The next bigger Wednesday tasting coming up, I'm not sure yet. We've got Starward Australian whiskey coming up in a couple weeks here. So Michael, thank you again. Everybody else, check it out. If you're into this kind of beverage alcohol, esoterica, give Barrel to Bottle, the Binny's podcast, a listen. All right, Michael, thanks a lot, man. Cheers again. Appreciate the time. And I appreciate the Paczki
Day.
I'm toasting with this.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time, everybody.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.